Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It is Thursday morning, the 13th of November. In this video we're going to Fruitland, Idaho, to the case of then 5-year-old Michael Vaughan, who disappeared from his street outside of his home on July 27th, 2021. Over the last few days, with the release of the probable cause affidavit for the arrest of Stacey Wondra and Sarah Wondra, we've learned a lot of details that we have never heard before. Fruitland police have kept a lot of things close to their vest, but now we're learning the facts, and the facts are absolutely dreadful. Dreadful. So what I want to do in this video is go through the timeline that has been given by the probable cause affidavit for the arrest of Stacey Wondra. I'm going to compare that to what we knew and the timeline that I put together 3 years ago after the year mark of Michael's case, when there was a press conference and Police Chief J.D. Huff gave some additional details than what we'd known previously about the timeline. So it's interesting to compare what Fruitland police have told us in the past and what we've learnt from other sources, including Michael's mother Brandy, with the facts that are now laid out in the probable cause affidavit. You know me, if you've followed my channel for any length of time, I'm a timelines person. I've got to see it. I've got to see all of these facts laid out. And it's very interesting. Let's go. Before we get into the video, can I just ask, if you're not yet subscribed, please do so. I'm trying to get 100,000 subscribers by the end of this year. I don't think I can do it, but with your help, there's still time. All you have to do is click the subscribe button. It's completely free. And if you are subscribed and you want to help me out, then like the video, leave a comment, it helps with the algorithm, and share my videos so that more people know that I exist. This is the timeline that I put together. This was one of the live streams that I did about it on August 30th, 2022. Importantly here, what J.D. Huff said at the press conference to mark the year of Michael being missing. He said that Michael was abducted between 6:40 and 7 p.m. Let's just listen to what J.D. said at the time. And there's a little snippet here that proves very prophetic.
More investigators and probably more importantly, just time to work these things through to make sure we can bring each lead to a conclusion. This process is exhaustive and it takes a lot of time, and we believe someone out there will ultimately provide us with some information that'll help us solve this case.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. Because although the cops, unbeknownst to any of us, had the Wondras and their property on the radar from August the 1st, so just 4 or 5 days after Michael disappeared, they initially spoke to the occupants of 1102 Red Wing Street. We didn't know that, did we? We didn't know that until the probable cause affidavit came out. We also didn't know that a police dog called Banshee tracked Michael down Red Wing Street from the corner of Red Wing Street, where there was a witness who saw Michael on the tricycle that belonged to the Wondras. We'll get to that in a moment with the new timeline. Tracked down the street to the Wondras' home. We didn't know that. Okay, so this is what JD said about the timeline.
It's important to note that as we continue to refine our timeline, we now believe that Michael disappeared in a smaller window of time, and that's probably between the time of 6:40 p.m. and 7 o'clock p.m. on the 27th.
That's where I got the 6:40 to 7 p.m. window. When you look at the new timeline from the probable cause affidavit, 6:40 to 7 p.m, where does that fit in? So that's one question. And then I think this came from Brandy, that Michael was seen by a handful of neighbours. I've put 5, I'm not sure whether it was 5, but it was a handful of neighbours on Southwest 9th Street, Michael's street. I got this 6:37 p.m. from somewhere. I don't know where I got that from. I'll have to go through all of my old videos and work that out. But that was the time that I got on the timeline as to when a neighbour took Michael back to his yard. So this is the new timeline that I've been working on. It's not finished, but I thought I'd share it. Because what I want to do is put all the times that have been talked about in the probable cause affidavit into this timeline. And I started with when Sarah, Brandon and Adrian arrived back at their house. They'd been out in the day. Stacey had been wandering around. He'd been seen at something past 3 p.m. at the splash pad. But Sarah, Adrian and Brandon had been out. And at 17:08, so that's 8 minutes past 5, Sarah's car comes into the neighbourhood. There's only one way that you can come into the neighbourhood. That's on Southwest 8th Street. And surveillance cameras on there have picked up basically all the movements of the players concerned. Then 4 minutes later, interestingly, Sarah's car leaves the neighbourhood. 17:56, Sarah's car comes back into the neighbourhood. So we've got the Wondras all at home by 17:56, which is 4 minutes to 6. Then this is when Brandon, shirtless, starts his walkabout. He is seen on camera, and in the probable cause affidavit, Brandon has admitted that that was him. So at 8 minutes past 6, Brandon is seen on surveillance at Three Rivers Way, at one of the streets off Red Wing Street. At 18 minutes past 6, Brandon is on surveillance at the splash pad. At 28 minutes past 6, Brandon is on surveillance entering woods on the way back to the Wanderer's home. So he's basically done a loop. So we've got these guys who were out for 40 some minutes. And then we've got Brandon, who does his walkabout. Then this is interesting. This was brand new information about the Wanderer's tricycle. And one eyewitness, someone called Dorothy Starkey, who lives on Red Wing Street, contacted the police on the 29th of July, so just 2 days after Michael disappeared, and said that she'd seen Michael on the 27th on Red Wing Street, in the very location where the police dog Banshee started a track, which led to the Wanderer's house. There's no exact time as to when she saw Michael, but what we do know from the surveillance camera on Southwest 8th Street is that Dorothy Starkey comes back into the neighbourhood. Who knows where she's been, but she comes back into the neighbourhood. So it's at this point where she could have seen Michael. But then she goes back out an hour later at 25 past 7. That's the other time where she could have seen Michael on the tricycle on Red Wing Street. I think it's more like this time. So we know that Michael was out on the street. He was just going out to find someone to play with. His dad, Tyler, was occupied dealing with the baby, changing the baby's diaper. He ordered pizza for dinner at 6:40, and it was shortly after that he realises that Michael is missing. I said we were going to do this in order, but I'm sorry, I'm jumping around a bit. So around 6:45, that's when Tyler starts looking for Michael. And we know from previous data that Tyler, was seen on surveillance at the splash pad, the same surveillance camera that caught Brandon there at 18 minutes past 6. So we know that Michael was out on the street and was seen by several neighbours. In the probable cause affidavit, it says between 6:15 and 6:30, several neighbours saw Michael, and all of them told him to go back to his house. And unfortunately, he didn't. Now, where does this 6:40 to 7 p.m. for the abduction fit in? Well, Michael's already out there. Dorothy Starkey could have seen Michael on Red Wing Street shortly after 25 past 6. So who actually abducted Michael? Was it Brandon? But if he was seen on surveillance camera at 28 minutes past 6 going back towards the Wanderer's home, Did he double back? Or was one of the others out there? Maybe that's a detail that's being held back for now. The 911 call was made at 21 minutes past 7. So that's the other time when Michael could have been seen. I think it's got to be this time because at 8 minutes past 7, Sarah's truck was leaving the neighbourhood with Stacey, Sarah and Brandon to go to Cuna. That was Sarah, Stacey and Brandon. Adrian stays behind to take selfies of himself. And then they come back from Cuna at 22 minutes past 11. So I'm trying to work out exactly when Michael was abducted. So between 6:40 and 7, J.D. Huff's timeline, but that's 3 years ago. Once Stacey Wondra made his confession in November 2022, maybe things started to change a little bit. Was Michael abducted a little bit before 6:40? It's looking like he was. And then we know from the probable cause affidavit that Michael was at the Wandra's house. And Sarah gave Michael a green stuffed toy, which was a dog toy, but that was to keep him quiet until they turned nasty. So the intention was to sell Michael. They put him in the duffel bag with duct tape and he died. So were they going to take him to Cuna alive and then sell him from there through maybe one of Adrian's contacts? I'm trying to just piece all of these things together. And I do think there's still details that we don't know. The Fruitland police have played a blinder all the way through this investigation and kept things close to their vest, and I think they continue to do so. I think we're in for maybe some more surprises. That's just my opinion. So this is definitely a work in progress, and I'm going to put more details into this. This is just something that I did last night, but it's just horrific. I mean, really, really horrific what happened. Especially when they also claim that they stopped at the intersection of Southwest 8th and Arizona to check that Michael was still alive. Oh, horrific. All right. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.